Welcome to our 209th weekly Q&A webcast, where my humble goal is to answer questions to help you take your career to the next level and answer any questions you have about business or finance. Now, before I take your questions, I want to mention 5 very quick things. Number 1, there's somebody pretending to be me and connecting with people on Instagram, and they're asking for cryptocurrency investments. Please know that I would never ask my students to send me cryptos, and Instagram has removed that person pretending to be me. My official Instagram address is this, all one word, Chris Haroun. Thank you. Secondly, I just published my latest vlog called Wall Street Pro, humbly. Wall Street Pro reacts to the movie Wall Street, where I teach many finance and business lessons based on the movie. So please check it out on my YouTube channel. And kudos to Matt Lacousse, my great Chief Creative Officer, for editing that video. Number 3, or threeth, as my son Andrew used to say, next week there's no webcast given the Thanksgiving holiday. Number 4, I just started my early Black Friday sale. If you go to harounmba.com, you can get 50% off my next platinum and gold MBA programs that start on January 30th. And you can get 20% off the silver MBA degree program. Again, just go to harounmba.com. And when you go here, you'll see a pop-up, okay, that comes up. Click here to get 20% off silver, 50% off gold, 50% off platinum. This is a limited sale. It'll be ending very soon, but check it out if you want to. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee as always. Okay, lastly, number 5, most importantly, before I take your questions today, we'll do a quick interview with a very special guest named Varun Puri, who has an incredible free artificial intelligence-based tool that you can all use to take your public speaking skills to the next level. Now, here's a very short video on what this special public speaking AI tool is all about. I'm not sponsored by anybody, as you all know. Here we go.
Hi, we are Yoodli. We are an AI-powered speech coach to help you improve your communication skills. We'll provide you with private and judgment-free feedback on how often you say ums and ahs, how quickly you speak, whether you've interrupted others. To get started, connect your calendar to Yoodli, and Yoodli will automatically join your Zoom calls and send you a report to quantify your progress over time. Sign up at yoodli.ai.
All right. Now, in a second, I'm going to interview Varun Puri, who is the founder of Yoodli. And please feel free to type questions here in YouTube chat for Varun about how he started his company called Yoodli. Now, Yoodli is an AI-powered platform to help people improve their public speaking and communication skills. I want you all to please think of Yoodli as Grammarly for speech. And Yoodli provides real-time, judgment-free feedback on filler words, pacing, eye contact, and much, much more. And prior to starting Yoodli, Varun worked at Google X, where he ran Africa operations for Project Tara, which is an incredible initiative aimed at bringing internet to regions using invisible lasers. You can ask him about that as well if you want to. He also worked on special projects for Sergey Brin, one of the founders of Google. Varun is incredibly well-spoken, and now I understand why top venture capital firms have invested in his company. So it's my great honor and privilege to introduce to you Varun Puri. Let me just tee this up here. Hold on a second. Go over here twice. Unmute. There we go. Varun, thank you so much for being with us today. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for having me here, Chris. It is such an honor.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. So let me ask you a couple quick questions. And again, anybody in the chat, you can ask questions as well for Yoodli in terms of how he started the company, raised capital, all that great stuff, and how to use the product as well. So let me kick it off with what motivated you to start Yoodli?
Yeah, my quick story is I grew up in India. I came to the US for college, and right after college, I joined Google. And I've just seen so many brilliant people struggle to communicate with confidence. Be this on a job interview, at a date, on a roundtable discussion on stage, before that hair on fire presentation. We've been that person, we know that person the night before a speech as we are talking out loud to a mirror, a camera, a stopwatch, as we're walking back and forth trying to memorize our slides. I just think there's got to be a better way. And this problem disproportionately affects immigrants, non-native English speakers, people who are introverts and feel talked over. Grammarly's been able to find a solution when it comes to writing. And I think there's an opportunity to solve this problem when it comes to speaking.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Next up, how can Yoodli help me, and what kinds of feedback does Yoodli provide?
Yep. So Yoodli is an artificial intelligence powered platform that gives you private, personalized, and judgment-free feedback on your speaking skills. So Yoodli will give you feedback on your filler words, your eye contact, use of non-inclusive language, such as guys, that could be considered offensive in certain cultures when you should say folks or people, my body language, gesture, my pacing, whether I'm talking too fast and I've got it too excited, and it will give me personalized reports week over week. So Yoodli joins my Zoom calls and lets me know, hey Varun, this week were you way more nervous than last week because you use a lot more filler words in your manager meeting, as an example. So Yoodli is your personalized on-the-go speech coach. For those of you all who know what Toastmasters is, think of it as an augmentation of Toastmasters.
Okay, great. Excellent. Now, I speak correct English, meaning Canadian English. So if I say oot, a boot, and a, it's not going to criticize me, is it?
It depends. First off, I'm really trying to ensure Yoodli does not criticize people.
Yeah.
Right? We do not want people to
I'm
know about
joking.
their speaking.
Yeah.
The technology is not perfect. It might pick up some words and say, hey, it didn't make full sense to us, but that's where the human needs to use their judgment in looking through our analytics.
Awesome. No, you're too humble. The technology is perfect, in my humble opinion. Okay, how much do I have to pay for Yoodli?
It is free of cost.
Okay.
The idea is we want millions of people to use this and improve their speaking skills. So go to yoodli.ai, sign up, and you can start using the tool today. My only ask is tell your friends about it, sign up for it, and give me feedback. How can we make this something that's helpful to you?
Awesome. Awesome. And I love that video that you made as well. And Matt Lacus, who's my chief creative officer, did an incredible job on that. He's amazing. He's great. Okay. So where do you see Yoodli heading over time?
Yeah, long term, the dream with Yoodli is to be that personalized on-the-go speech coach that gives you feedback anytime you're speaking. Right?
Okay.
It doesn't just need to be a presentation. It could be your everyday conversation. It could be a board meeting. It could be Yoodli's helping you prepare for that upcoming Accenture interview. But Yoodli also gives you feedback on how you did during the live interview process. Okay. So we're going to make the analytics a lot more powerful, the ways to interact with Yoodli a lot easier. So today you can use it on your phone, on your computer. Over time, it'll be on your watch. And it'll tell you, hey, Chris, you used too many filler words. Or, Varun, you've been talking for 10 minutes. Why don't you stay quiet for a second?
Okay, great. Excellent. I used to work at Accenture. That would have been great if I could use that tool. Thank you. Okay. I hope they're not a customer. Okay, just kidding. All right, next up, and again, type your questions here, guys, if you have any questions at all for Varun. I see a bunch coming through from Evelyn and Rado. Keep them coming. Thank you. So you're an unbelievable public speaker, and you've raised a lot of money from venture capital firms, including Madrona, which was one of the first investors in Amazon in 1985. Madrona also invested in Snowflake, a massive company. So please provide advice to my students and myself and others that are looking to start a company and raise money.
For sure. Actually, Chris, before I do that,
sure.
Do you mind adding Yoodli into this call?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay,
so my bot will be in the waiting room.
Sure.
And that way I can show folks the kinds of analytics that Yoodli
Yeah, for sure, man. Absolutely. Okay, great.
So now careful of what we say because Yoodli is going to point out, basically kind of mistakes we make. Look, I'm by no means an expert on fundraising. I'm a first-time founder. I'm learning this on the go. It's really hard. It's been an honor to work with Madrona. Their entire attitude to investing in us has been, we have a big dream. This is a big enough problem. 2 out of 3 people struggle with it. And they took a bet on us on day one when we just had the idea. So they've supported us from the get-go. We've been very transparent with them about what we know and what we don't know. Madrona has obviously worked with some incredibly successful and experienced founders. It gets me nervous, but they've been super supporters along the way. My one piece of advice during the pitch, again, different founders and investors will give you different advice, is to just be yourself. During my pitch with them, I was like, hey, here's my dream. Here are the 10 things I'm really good at. Like, I'm going to give this company everything I've got, right? Even if it fails, we'll fail with a real spark and we'll burn things up, but I don't have all the answers. And I think they appreciated that honesty.
Awesome. And I first met you through Karen Rotter, who's a friend of mine. We worked on a VC deal in the past together. She used to be head of investor relations, I think, at Google. And I remember telling her at the time that I'm humbly a great judge of character. And when I see somebody that speaks as eloquently as you do and can sell as well as you do, I know you're going to be a huge success, huge success. So I'm very humbled that you're with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Definitely doesn't feel like it after the 50th face punch, but hopefully we'll get there one day.
Okay, cool. Now, before I move on to a couple more questions and questions from the audience here, if you could go back in time, Varun, and give yourself advice when you first started this company, what advice would you have given yourself?
That's a good question. And I think I've only been doing this company for a year. So me 1 year ago is not too different from me right now. I'm really trying to be true to my heart. By this, I mean, I'm getting advice 6,000 times a day from investors and mentors and my mom and friends in the outside. Some people will tell me, Varun, why don't you build this as a tool for sales teams? That's where the money is. Why don't you sell this into enterprises? And, we're trying to do versions of it. But at the end of the day, I've been asking myself, if I spend the next 5 years or 10 years doing this, what gets me most excited? And there have been times I've gone off course. It's really to help kids in India speak with confidence. Right. And if I can do that well, we will figure out our monetization. So I think the advice to myself in the past, but even now when I'm at tough junctures, is build the company that I started out to build, and hopefully the monetization piece will solve itself. Don't optimize the other way around.
Okay. I love it. So there's a sense of purpose. You're not just doing it for the money. You're doing it because you want to help people. I love it. Okay, great. Now, we want to get involved. How can we help you with Yoodli?
Yeah, my ask would be go to www.yoodli.ai, sign up. You can play fun impromptu public speaking games. You can start practicing for interviews and speeches. And most importantly, you can connect your calendar to Yoodli. And just the way this bot has joined my call, Yoodli will join your calls. And actually, I can show you a quick demonstration in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Yoodli will join your calls and give you analytics on the way you're speaking. It'll create a transcript separated by speakers and much else.
I love it. Now, before I take questions from the audience, do you want to show us a demo of the product?
Yeah, would be happy to. Awesome. So let me share my screen with you all in a second.
Sure.
Great. So this is Yoodli, right? Yoodli is your AI-powered speaking coach. It doesn't matter if you have a corporate presentation, a sales pitch, a sales call, come and use Yoodli. As I said, Toastmasters International, which is the world's expert in speaking, is rolling out Yoodli with 300,000 members in 150 countries. So I can come to Yoodli and I can quickly sign in. As you can see, we've got sample speeches at the top. So here's a fun Elon Musk speech. Hopefully I don't get into trouble. You can upload your own speeches, by the way. Elon, you're doing really well. You're obviously making waves in the business world, but even you could work on your speaking skills. Here's a recent commencement speech you gave. You had way more filler words than most people. Using AI, you can play back your speech with filler words removed to visualize what success could look like. Or Elon, you don't have a stutter, but when you're nervous, you repeat words back to back across your speech. Maybe if you worked on your pausing technique, it would sound more confident. Or Elon, when you started your speech, you went way too quickly, right? This is basically my dashboard for when I'm speaking. Maybe consider slowing down at the intro, especially because you're trying to inspire students during a commencement speech. So that's one part of Yoodli. The second part was, this was Chris, you and I were just on this call, and we can see instant analytics. Literally, Yoodli left the call and generated a report. You can see a transcript. This is big enough of what Varun said, what Chris said, what Varun said.
Go back to me. I'm curious.
Okay, Chris, you sure?
Yeah,
okay, there we go. So we're going to look at analytics.
Do it. Here we go.
Okay, you're a good man. Okay, so Chris, a couple filler words. It's not a good or bad thing. There's something to know. Lots of us. Maybe you can pause a little bit more.
Sure.
Oh, wow. In terms of listening, I dominated this conversation. So I spoke for 75%. Chris spoke for 26%.
That's because you speak much gooder than me.
And not only do I speak more, I also speak faster. So I probably crammed in more information. Chris, you asked me 2 questions, which is always good. We can zoom into your questions.
How can we help you with Yoodli?
Okay. And I see I wrote first.
Yeah.
I said first. Cool.
There we go. And then you can look at your delivery skills. Obviously, we know that you speak pretty quickly, Chris. It's not a good or bad thing. It's just data for you to be aware of. And then we can look at my analytics as well. Right? You can see my delivery scale. I varied my pacing a little bit more, but I can still do better. And maybe if I went at 0.75x this speed, I would do better. And then at the click of a button, I can share my speech with you, my colleagues, anybody, and they can give me feedback.
More questions from the audience.
Great job with your energy here, Chris, right?
Yes.
And it's very quick and it's synced to that exact time frame. And in the next couple seconds, the analytics automatically learn from themselves, and you'll be able to see feedback on your repeated gestures, your eye contact, where you smiled the most, and much more.
Oh, I love it. This is amazing. It's incredible.
Last thing we can see is, look, I'm an entrepreneur. I want to be on brand. The fact that my top keyword was I makes me seem a little self-obsessed. I've got to do better. I don't want to be a top keyword. My top keyword should be public speaking, entrepreneurship, and passion. I can work on that. Weak words, not too bad. I tied with Adele. I've never tied with Adele at anything in my life, so this is a good thing. My really basically is kind of, I didn't repeat myself too many times and much else. And here are the rest of my analytics, right? Exactly where I smiled. My centering on screen, a lot of people take their calls like this or hidden in the corner. So Yoodli says I've done pretty well. And I made good eye contact, right? A lot of people talk like this, or especially on Zoom, you look at the screen, not the camera. Yoodli helps you be more aware of that.
That's cool. Can it pick up on the fact that my hair dye is awful today? It makes my hair look red?
No. That's the upcoming feature.
Okay, good. All right, thanks. Just curious. Excellent. This is wonderful. Excellent.
Chris, if it's okay, one last thing I'd love to show,
sure, of course,
especially your students, is, as I said, you can connect your calendar. Yoodli will give you feedback. What we really want to do is build the Wordle for public speaking. Public speaking does not need to be something that's so scary and anxiety-inducing, especially when it comes to impromptu speaking. So we built a series of AI-powered games to just make speaking fun. Start your day by playing this game. Public speaking is important. This is a random prompt because it helps build confidence. It helps you nail your message and help the audience understand what you care about. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner or you're an expert, whether you're a novice, you get the gist of it. I get random words and I've got to include them in my story. And as I include them in my story, Yoodli will give me points. So if I were to ring a bell, as an example, Yoodli smart enough, bell, the system's getting better over time and it should automatically correct. And boom, I get a score and I can challenge my friends. And then we've got games like these for filler words and lateral thinking and much else.
That's genius gamification. This would be a hysterical skit on Saturday Night Live as well. That's great.
That's the hope. I'm hoping we can have, like the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, and now I'm giving away my strategy. Yeah. I'm going to challenge Chris, and then Chris needs to play this fun game and challenge his 10 friends, and let's see what happens.
Oh my God, it'll go viral. It'll be funny. Excellent. Very cool. Thank you for that. Okay, let me take questions from the audience. I'll kick it off with Radu, who's one of my Platinum MBA students based in Romania. He wrote, does Yoodli need some initial training with the user's own speech for recognition, or can it start the evaluation from day one?
The latter. So Yoodli can start your evaluation from day one. It should take you 10 seconds to start using. And then as you use the product, it'll become more personalized to you, Radu.
Okay, cool. I can't believe how easy it was to accept the Zoom or the bot into Zoom. It's incredible. Yeah, very cool. Okay, next up we got Evelyn, who's also one of my MBA students, who wrote, hello, everyone. Excited to attend and hear from Yoodli's CEO. So it makes two of us. Next question is, what kind of revenue resources do you consider longer term as of now? I can imagine having free users also helps the training model of the AI, but longer term, can I imagine SaaS, meaning software as a service, for corporate or similar?
Yeah, that's spot on. So look, I always want part of this product to be free so that everyone can access it. What we likely end up doing is have a free version, maybe charge a couple dollars a month for the premium service. And then when enterprises such as Deloitte want to train all of their employees, we might charge them some kind of corporate plan.
Very cool.
But in order to do that, we need you all to use the tool and actually find it useful. No point in my selling something that's just smoke and mirrors.
Right. Cool. Well, you sold me. Rubina, who's one of my gold MBA students from the United Kingdom, wrote, wow, I love this young, passionate human being. Thank you so much for saying that about me. Varun, it's great to have you on the call as well. Okay, great. Sorry. He's incredibly, he speaks good, eh? Yeah, he's great. Okay. Next up, Rita wrote, Chris, can you put the link on the chat box? Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. I'll do that. But actually, what website should they go to? I guess I can type it in. Let me type it in here for them here. It's just yoodli.ai, right? Can you spell that?
Yoodli.ai. And Chris, just to embarrass both of us, I've pasted a link to our little speech. So you can share that with your students. Okay. So they can see analytics for you and me, and they can go play around with it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
In our chat.
So yoodli.ai. Okay, great. I put that in the chat for you, Rudy, as well. Thank you. And we will analyze that later. Thanks. Okay. Next up, I have got, hold on a second. All right. Evelyn wrote, how did you learn about AI? And how did you build your team for building the platform? And did you have the idea initially and then found the talent to build it, or did you already know the AI tech?
Yeah, all super questions. Short answer is I'm not technical. I don't understand AI. I have an economics degree.
Yeah.
I started doing this because Paul Allen, one of the founders of Microsoft, has this AI Institute in Seattle. I joined them as an entrepreneur in residence, and they've been teaching me. They've been helping me recruit AI talent, and now we've got a team of people that's much smarter than me and understands the AI that's trying to make the tool better. But I've always had the idea of how do we give people meaningful feedback on the way they speak? And I don't even know if AI is the solution. Maybe long term, it's a marketplace, right, where we connect you with a coach. I really don't care about the form factor and the way by which we solve this problem, as long as we solve it. My current bet is AI might be one such way to do that.
That's great. No, I love it. Very cool. Zoralina, who's one of my silver MBA students from Canada, wrote, "Hi, Chris and Yoodli founder. Love that business idea, and the name is super cool. I love it. I love it. I like the mention of Yoodli right at the end of that promo video was cool too. It's like,
if I meet you all in person, I'll give you the actual story behind the name of Yoodli. But the reason for this is, look, I want to make speaking fun and light and playful. Yoodli is one of those names. Like if you say Yoodli fast 3 times, Yoodli, 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 you're bound to smile.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I get people to smile when they use our product?
Yeah. Very cool. It reminds me of Yahoo, kind of a fun, cool name. Yeah. All right. Google's better though, I know. All right. Next up, Radu wrote, that's so much fun about speaking time. As you said, you're speaking faster. Does it count the words or the time, or merges both?
It does a combination of all of the above. Okay. So as an example, we'll count the number of words you've said in a minute to give you your pacing feedback. But there are times where you might pause for emphasis, right? Or you might drink water. In those cases, we omit that calculation from your overall pacing score.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Very cool. All right, Evelyn wrote, I just signed up and I'll be recommending this to all my students and quite frankly, kids and adults in the African immigrant community. Very cool. Very cool.
Please do that, Evelyn, and you can tag us on LinkedIn. We are at Yoodli. Feel free to connect with me. I'm Varun, and I would love to reshare your message.
Very cool. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Next up, Manas from India wrote, hi, Varun. Manas here. In a world where decentralization and Web 3.0 are booming, do you think taking Yoodli to Web 3.0 will be big and cool in the long run? Great question.
Honest, good question. Short answer is I could give you some kind of wishy-washy answer. I don't fully understand Web 3.0, so I don't yet know.
Right. Okay, cool. Now, Rubina wrote, he's a genius. I agree. You are. And then Radu wrote here, congratulations, Varun. Finding this is at the right time as I was looking for some solution for my kid that's smart and has much to say, but hard to start because he's shy to speak. That's the way I still am. Yeah.
I mean, Radu, that's exactly who we're trying to help, right? There are so many people like this. Please hold us accountable to building a product that helps your child. And if it doesn't, let me know why, and I will get on a call with you and try to improve the tool.
I love it.
That is our bullseye user in many ways.
I love it. Now, Madrona invested in Jeff Bezos. One of the reasons was because, Jeff Bezos said from day one, a company is only as good as its customer service. And I see why they invested in you as well. Okay. Next up is, So Zoralina, who's originally from France, she wrote, does it understand a French accent? Great question.
Yeah. It's a very good question. So our accent detection system is about as good as any top-of-the-line system, such as Siri, Google Home, Alexa, etc. I intentionally do not want, there are tools that build accent correction tools.
Yeah.
I philosophically just disagree with that approach.
Yeah,
my goal is, how do we help you speak in the most authentic way possible? So, for instance, Zoralina, the way a lot of folks use the tool is they'll give their speech. Our speech-to-text system may not understand certain words. That's not necessarily your fault. That means the speech-to-text system isn't as good. But if there are too many words like those, that might be an indication that, hey, an ordinary English speaker could get confused as well while listening to me. So here we defer on the user's best judgment. So the tool, yes, detects accents, but only as well as you can expect technology to do that.
Okay, great answer. All right, next up, Mahesh wrote, a great product, much awaited. Can you please comment on the privacy of Yoodli? Also, each country has different data storage needs.
Yep. Super question. And Yoodli is now at a point where we've got thousands of people using the tool every day. Google executives before confidential keynotes and folks before congressional hearings. So like we have to keep privacy front and center.
Yes.
First off, so we don't get into trouble, but also philosophically, the idea behind Yoodli is this is your private confidential coach in a judgment-free environment. So you as a user can completely control your privacy settings. If you use Google Drive, it's completely modeled off of that. Who can share your speech, who can see your speech, can people see your analytics? If you share the same speech with several people, can they see each other's comments, whether you want your data deleted, etc. On our end, and you can go to our website, we've got yoodli.ai/privacy, which is our privacy policy in 3 bullet points, written by me for non-legal folks. And then we've got the long lawyer answer. The short answer is you control your data. On our end, data stored on secure Google servers. Engineers with white label API or access keys can go into videos only for troubleshooting and product improvement. We never share or sell your data with anybody. And this is pretty much the same that happens at other companies. One fun fact, though, is, we think at Yoodli we've got the legal bar, and we definitely meet that. On our team, we've signed like this little paper in blood, not actual blood, where we have our own ethical bar, which is higher than that, and how we treat users' data.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, next up, we've got Christina, who's president of the Alumni Association, wrote, "Hi, Chris and Varun, Yoodli founder. Our amazing webcast. Good morning to everybody as well. I love this interview. Hope you're having an outstanding week. Cheers, Chris. I'm at 9 a.m. water and 400 steps. How about you?" And we all compete with this as well. So I was nervous about speaking today, Varun. So this is vodka, but I'm at about 10 a.m. today. So I'm on track. In terms of my steps, I'm only at a couple hundred so far. I love it though. Thank you. Co-opetition is good for the heart.
Also, Christina, I love that you asked that question because you sound like a data nerd, right? Like you use whatever Strava and Apple Fitness. Yoodli's trying to be that for speaking, though we cannot compete with Chris's water drinking habits. Like when I first met him and I saw that tank, I was very nervous.
Yeah. You came to my house. That's right. A while back. Very cool. Yeah. I'm trying my best. Yeah. All right. Next up, Jing wrote, "Hi, Professor Chris and fellow classmates. Congratulations, Varun. I'm looking forward to using this platform and connecting with you in LinkedIn." That was from Jing Ma, who lives here in the Bay Area, and she works in the education sector as well. I'm sure there's great synergies. Very
Jing,
cool.
please use the tool, break it, give me feedback once it's broken, and I would be happy to help.
Awesome. Very cool. Next up, Evelyn wrote, "Varun, did you have a proof of concept when you met with investors? And was there a broker to connect you with your seed rounds? And did the AI incubator play a big role?"
So yes, the AI incubator played a very big role, and that's why I went there because, look, again, as I said, I'm a first-time founder. I don't know how fundraising works. Madrona is one of the limited partners in their fund. So, the incubator has their own fund. Madrona is an investor in the incubator, which is how I got connected with them. That definitely helped.
Right.
When I met them, I wouldn't call it a proof of concept. I literally had a video recorder where I was like, hey, look, this records me and here's a transcript. So there wasn't much to show at that time. But yes, having AI tool support was super.
I mean, it makes all the sense in the world for Microsoft to get involved. You're based in Seattle anyway. It'd be a nice little plug-in for PowerPoint.
Yep. So fun fact, and I shouldn't be talking about competitors, but Microsoft has a version of this called Presenter Coach within PowerPoint.
Okay.
The way I think of it is it's isolated to the Microsoft ecosystem, right? So the same way Microsoft started with spell check and then started with that in Outlook and with Word and with Excel and Grammarly brought it to the masses. I'm trying to do the same thing. Take Presenter Coach, that's an amazing product, and bring it to everyone through an app and through an interview prep tool and much else.
Yeah, I'm sure it pales in comparison to yours. Theirs probably reminds me of Clippy. Please tell me you got that. I'm really old.
I did not, but I figured, is that like some clipboard? So
it was this stupid AI bot that Microsoft had back in the 90s that whenever you're confused, it looked like a little animation of a paper clip with eyes telling you what to do, and it slowed your computer down. Yeah.
That's funny. Microsoft's product is pretty good. I will give them credit, and I'm learning out from them.
Okay, but I just dated myself. Okay, there you go. Okay, great. Rita wrote, this is he's from Melbourne. He wrote, "This is good for delivering rituals as I'm a Freemason." Very cool. Very cool. And then Matt Lacus, my chief creative officer. And
Actually, quick thing before we get into Matt. Rita, it's been so inspiring to see people use Yoodli for a variety of applications. Yeah. Some people are practicing eulogies, investment speeches, and professors are practicing their speeches in class, and other people are uploading their board meetings. Please use it in whatever way possible.
Awesome. Very, very cool. And Matt says, Varun says hello, and Matt's my chief creative officer. He's amazing. Talk quickly about what it's like working with Matt with that video he created. How did you tell him what to do, or did he say, here's my ideas? How did it work? Because he's the best. I love him.
And before I do that, I'd also love to tell you the story of how I met Matt, because this is a really good story of how I think businesses work.
Yeah.
I was doing an interview with Chris, and Matt was a videographer and just the coolest person I've met. I was just like, I want to be friends with this guy. I saw the quality of his video and it was out of control. And Chris came to me and said, listen, Matt is super talented. Why doesn't he work with you? And I was like, Chris, are you sure? Isn't Matt doing video stuff for you? And Chris was like, not at all. Like, Matt's a great guy. You all would jam.
He's great.
So Matt's been our videographer.
Yeah.
Honestly, he came up with the idea completely. I told him, hey, Matt, here's what we want. He set up the video shooting studio. He turned this around in a couple of days. The animations, the fun emojis, like the transitions, all of that is him. So if you're looking for a videographer, Matt is your guy, as long as he doesn't take away from Yoodli videos, because we need to convince him to join us at some point.
No, he's amazing, and he's the one that did all my Wall Street Pro reacts to videos as well. He's incredible. If you see
Matt, everyone on Yoodli loves you. You are a celebrity in our team,
and we love you here too, Matt. Yeah, very cool. If you see a crappy video of mine on YouTube, I edited it. Okay, there we go. All right, good. All right. Next up, Radu wrote, "What are the supported platforms or future supported? As of now, I see Zoom only." Yeah.
Good question. And short answer is, if Yoodli is successful, the goal is anywhere you speak, right? It's got to be on Team, WebEx, Hangout, your watch, in person. It doesn't matter. We started with Zoom because they have massive distribution. Right.
Can I go to your website and not use Zoom? And just, okay, so you can use it just on your website as well. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And if this time at the end, I can give you a demo, right? Like you can just come to our website, record live, think of it as a smart mirror, and instantly get them.
Can you show us really quickly? Do you mind?
Yeah, of course.
Just how to do it, because I want my students to use this free tool.
Yeah, of course. And
thanks.
There we go. Here's my website again. And the goal is, how do we make this really fast, right? I know people have better things to do and they're very busy. Yeah. So I can come and practice for a speech or an interview. Let's do an interview as an example. And let's say I'm applying for a job and I need to answer, tell me about yourself. That's my little speech. I'm going to press start practicing. You know, most interviews are on Zoom these days. So we built simple AI to help you align yourself on screen. You don't want to take an interview where people can look up your nostrils and how poorly I've shaved. I don't want to be in the corner. There we go. I'm looking a little bit more like a leader. And Yoodli says I'm looking good. And I'm just going to give a 30-second speech about tell me about yourself. Yeah. And you can customize all these questions. Hello, recruiter. You know, like, I think it's shitty. And, you know, it's crazy that, like, 2 out of 3 people, you know, struggle to speak with confidence. And I think technology can help them out. And now I'm getting really, really excited and moving my hands all over the place, because what if we could give people feedback on their gesture, posture, body language, tone, intonation, and give them the ability and the confidence to speak with confidence? And I've got to slow down. You know, like I get really, really excited. And innovation and synergy, buzzwords, disruption. Now I'm just saying random things. This was my speech. Right, so when I'm done, I click on view analysis. Boom, I've got my instant analytics, and these analytics get better within seconds. So let's call this Varun's demo for Chris. You can see my transcript, all of my analytics. I thought I was a 2 out of 5. As I said, I could share this speech. So let's say I'm going to share this with Isha, who's my co-founder. I'm going to share this with Isha and say, Isha, interview tomorrow. I'm freaking out. Some explicitives. Please help. Right? And the idea is, give me a second. Why is this not basic? Oh, there we go. Please help. As the analytics self-adjust, so Isha can go in and now give me feedback, right? Like I would share my speech with Isha, maybe my mom, maybe a friend who's a recruiter, and she would then quickly say, recruiter, Varun, you need to thank the recruiter here. You know, like, I think it should make eye contact. I mean, you get the gist of it. And then I would get an email saying, Isha's left me a comment, I can like this, and we can very quickly zoom into my analytics, right? I use crazy. Crazy can be ableist language. I said shitty can be profane. I don't curse, or I try to avoid it. This was intentional. You can see my use of weak words, really, basically, etc. When used for emphasis, these are powerful. Wow, I tied with Justin Timberlake. Yeah. I think that's a downgrade from Adele. You can see my filler words, the same stuff, right? We don't have that bucket called listening because this was not a dialogue, it was a monologue. And you can see exactly where I started talking quickly. Seems like all over the place, because what if we could give people feedback on that? Right, so the idea is I can zone into sections in my speech and say, I got really nervous when I was at 22 seconds and I was talking over here. Great, let's focus on that section of the speech.
Cool. I love it. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Two last comments. I'll let you go. I know you're busy. You wrote, first of all, I got Harsh from India who wrote, Varun, amazing. But when I'm opening it on Opera, it's telling me to visit a particular link on Chrome or Firefox. I hate both of them. I agree. So with all of my replays, my lectures, I always tell my students to use Chrome. Yeah.
Yeah, Harsh, we should work with Opera, but sometimes we have issues. I agree. I don't have preferences on a browser. It's just, Chrome, Firefox, Safari are the most common ones. So we've optimized our video platform for that. So if you do have Chrome, recommend using it there, but hold us accountable. We'll build Opera just for you.
I love it. Last comment here is from Radu, who wrote, Varun, you're incredibly funny. I agree. So Varun, thank you so much for your time, buddy. You're an incredible inspiration to all of us. Thank you. And God bless you. All right.
Chris, thank you for having us. Everyone, please spread the message. Use the tool. Add me on LinkedIn. Let's make this a reality.
Awesome. It's free too. I love it. All right, buddy. Thank you. God bless you. I'll see you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye. All right. Let me get to everybody's questions now. He's amazing, eh? And you always want to invest in great management teams first and then the business model second. And I think he's got an A management team and an A business model as well. The jockey's always more important than the horse. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. I'm now going to take your questions. And I need to refresh a browser here. Sorry, to see your questions. And then go to live chat. Give me 1 second. This is Chrome screwing up. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys behind the scenes how I manage this webcast so that I can actually access your questions. So I'm going to go to YouTube. And YouTube makes it really easy to do these webcasts. They've got great analytics as well. This will take 10 seconds. I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. So I'm going to go to YouTube Studio. And this is where I monitor everything. And then I'm going to go to Content, Live, and I will click on this right here so I can actually read your questions right here. Give me 1 second. Chat, live chat. I'll pop this window out so I have it available. Awesome. Great. Okay, good. Time for questions. All right, let me kick it off with, start from the top here. Andre wrote, good morning, Chris. Good morning to you too. What are your thoughts on Warren Buffett's purchase of Taiwan semiconductor stock, TSMC, given the issues with the government of China and Taiwan? Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with any company in the world, any asset management company, mutual fund, hedge fund, investing in TSMC. I did it when I worked at a hedge fund in the past. It's a free market there. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Next up, Ted wrote, hey, Chris, hope all is well. Likewise. I'm wondering when you're going to Rwanda. Thanks. No, thank you. Yeah, so I'm going actually in June of 2023. I'm going to spend the entire month there, and I'm going to be teaching there from the school that Vital and I built there. So, yeah. And I'm trying to get, fingers crossed here, but Paul Kagan to cut the ribbon for us as well. Work in progress. Thank you. Okay. Next up, Radu wrote, good morning, Chris. Good morning, everybody. Manas, good to see you as well. Good morning. Solomon, good evening, Chris. Good to see you likewise. I'm a poor guy and I want to become a great NFT investor. How should I start in NFTs? I only have $20 with me. Yeah. I'd be very, very careful with that sector, please. I'd rather you invest in ETFs. If you're not sure where to put your money, I always recommend putting it into VOO, ticker VOO. That's the S&P 500 index that has very, very low fees. NFTs, I think that most of them are an absolute scam, 99.9% of them. Also, the reason the NFTs did very well for a little while there was because interest rates were zero. And whenever interest rates are low, a lot of speculative assets go up in value a lot. But once interest rates rise, then people don't want to invest in anything speculative. And if we compare and contrast today's market environment to the early 80s, in the early 80s, interest rates were 20% because inflation was brutal. And nobody invested in stocks or anything speculative. That's why the stock market did very poorly then. So just please be very, very careful with NFTs. Yeah. And for those of you that invest in cryptocurrencies, I've been saying since day one, I don't want more than 0.5% of your liquid net worth to be in any one crypto. And I don't want more than 5% of your portfolio to be in cryptocurrencies at all. And the reason I say that is it's a speculative market. There's a handful I think are great investments. And I publicly disclose that I own, and I have owned for years, 4 of them. I own Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Ripple. The problem is it's not a regulated market. And I think what's going to happen very soon is the United States government is going to regulate that market. And countries are either going to make cryptos illegal because it's the biggest threat to national security, and I can explain why, or they're going to regulate them. Just be very, very careful, please. Last thing I'll say on this topic, and I say this with love in my heart because I really do care, is if any of you have cryptocurrencies in a hot wallet, meaning on the internet, please take them off the internet. And please store them only in a cold storage wallet, meaning a USB type wallet made by a company called Ledger or Trezor. Yeah. Don't leave them online because there's a chance that most online exchanges and wallet companies that are online will go bankrupt or be outlawed. Yeah. Please be careful. Yeah. And it breaks my heart to hear about my students that have lost a lot of money this week in cryptos. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next question I've got here is Manas wrote, so FTX went bankrupt and Sam resigned. But did you know Sam's parents are lawyers who bail out people who've committed financial scams at big scale? So you see, everything was planned. Yeah. So what's happening behind the scenes is FTX actually spent close to $100 million on lobbying government officials and advertising and trying to make their brand appear ethical. You'll notice that if you watch the World Series, baseball in America, all the umpires who are supposed to be trusted people had FTX written on their jerseys. Right. And so subconsciously, by doing that, by sponsoring the umpires, it makes it seem like FTX is legit and credible. Certainly not. Yeah. All right. And then Frank wrote, hi, Chris and fellow mentees. Great to see you. Good to see you. What is your opinion regarding the FTX bankruptcy and likely consequences? Yeah. So what happens is when one company tries to buy another company, legally they can look at the books, right? All the financials. And so Binance, which is the largest exchange in the world, was going to buy the international assets of FTX, not the American assets. And when they looked at the books, they saw a lot more liabilities than expected. I think what happens is, the bankruptcy protection will protect them for 4 months, and then we'll see what happens. Now, 75% of companies in the United States that declare bankruptcy, they come out of it better than ever, as long as there's no fraud involved. So if there's fraud involved with FTX, they're done. If not, there's a chance they could be resurrected. We just don't know at this point. My gut is that they're just going to go under. Now, what happened was I don't want to bore you with legal details to make this quick, but in 1979, the United States government, they created the bankruptcy laws, and they created 300 bankruptcy courts across the country. And what that means when you declare Chapter 11, there's a lot of chapters in the code. Chapter 11 means you have like an invisible force field for 4 months protecting you. Nobody can touch you. And you can restructure your debt that way. All right, next up, I've got Manas wrote, Tesla is going down, but will bounce back sometime. But will it ever hit $100 again and again? I think in the long run, it's still a good investment. What's happened is Elon Musk has really taken his eye off the ball because he's been focusing a little bit too much time on Twitter. And the government's been investigating Elon as well in terms of compensation to senior executives. And it looks like one of these officials that's testifying to the United States government just disclosed that Elon now has a succession plan, meaning somebody else to take his role. And that's starting to worry some investors. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Asil wrote, hello, teacher. Are you cheering for the United States or Canada in the World Cup? Egypt did not qualify. I'm going for Canada. I'm Canadian. Sorry, I have to. Okay. All right. Because Canada always wins the World Cup. Yeah. Okay. Next up, question is, any thoughts regarding Twitter? I believe that Twitter could be a $1 trillion market cap company if they execute. I know it's a weird thing to say, and it's a contrarian opinion. Now, I own shares in Twitter up until Elon took it over. I think that Twitter has no credible competition out there. There's no better place to get news releases in real time than on Twitter. So if he can execute, I think he's going to make a fortune. But I think a lot of it comes down to regulation as well. And he's got to be really careful, Elon, because he might upset a lot of people. He's never been political when it comes to China, for example, because, Shanghai is the biggest plant for Tesla and the biggest market for Tesla as well. He's got to be very, very careful. I hope he can execute because I really do believe in freedom of speech. Yeah, as long as it's not hurtful. Okay. Next up, I have got here Chester, who wrote, "Good morning, Chris and fellow students. Always great to see you. I love you, man." Next up, Mahesh wrote, "Hi, Mentor Chris. Your teaching style is powerful. I'm learning a lot every day. Thank you." And wasn't Varun great? He's amazing, huh? Then you wrote, "Can you please add corporate finance to your MBA? Thank you very much. God bless you."
In the NBA, Kings and Spurs are facing off this evening at 7 p.m.
Alexa, thank you. We're good. I don't remember.
You're so welcome. Your kindness really gives me a charge.
Okay. I have to be completely honest, transparent. I'm usually not that polite to Alexa. I don't know why she just turned on. It's kind of scary, though. Okay. So the question is, can you please add corporate finance to your MBA? Thank you very much. God bless you and your family. Thank you. It's already included in my MBA program. Yeah. And we do a lot of case studies, investment banking case studies as well in the MBA program. Moving on to Radu, who wrote, actually, that was a question for Yoodli. Give me 1 second. I'm going to fast forward to past all these questions about Yoodli. Give me a second. All right. All right. I think I've caught up here. Okay, great. Christina wrote, "Matt, we love you. You're amazing." I agree with that. Next up, we have Janice, who wrote, "Chris, I'm currently thinking about buying health tech gadgets on Black Friday. Are there any that you recommend?" Yeah, my favorite one is this. Okay, this is the Oura ring. Hope I'm saying it right. Oura. And because of this device, I've fixed my sleeping patterns. I'm much healthier now than I was earlier this year. Much healthier because of this product. Now, what it does is it monitors your deep sleep. Now, the Apple Watch is starting to do that as well, and other products do it as well. So I recommend everybody monitor your deep sleep, because when you get good deep sleep, it slows down aging and it fixes your brain, your muscles, and all that stuff. Don't just focus on REM. Deep sleep is what's key, and this has been literally a lifesaver for me. It's expensive. It's like a couple $100, and there's a subscription fee as well, but I think it's worth it. That's my favorite health tech gadget. Yeah. I also, you guys are going to think I'm an idiot now, but I don't care. I'm completely transparent. I have this product here where I actually, so in my family, there's a lot of baldness. And being bald is cool, but I wear this as well, and I've done this for a couple of years. Okay, and it's got red lasers underneath it. See there? And I'm not going to give you the brand name because there's a lot of knockoffs that are a lot cheaper than this, but I do this, and it's helped my hair growth as well. Yeah. Maybe it's a placebo. I don't know. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, "Poland got hit by a missile. Is this Cold War 2.0 for a decade or just another event?" I like that. Yeah, that was an isolated event. It's sad because 2 people passed away. But it was actually one of Ukraine's rockets that hit Poland, and Poland agreed it was a mistake. It was unfortunate. Yeah. Okay. Matt wrote, "Chris, looking great today. I love the look. Thank you. And thank you for helping me with the camera angles and everything. You're the best, man. This company would not survive without you." Okay. And then Manas wrote, "You look like a BBC journalist reporting on UK television." Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. But the Brits speak much gooder than I do. Okay. Next up, CB wrote, "Hi, Chris. Hey. Have you ever taught anyone who is visually impaired in a service industry? Thanks, John. I have not. I have not. I have a couple students in my Silver MBA program that have audible issues, and I have closed captions added to all my stuff as well. Yeah, yeah. But if there's anybody out there that has thoughts on this, please let everybody know. I actually use, so on my iPhone, what I do is, because I'm getting older, is I have the font size that's like 8 million. It's huge. God bless you, Apple, for creating these accessibility options for me. And I actually use accessibility right here as well on my computer because my eyes are not that great. Yeah. Okay. And Microsoft's good at it as well. All right, next up. Okay. Manas wrote, Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to hell. Is this because of war? And by the way, I was thinking if oil and gas are short in Europe, how will they mint Bitcoin? Because, you know, this Bitcoin needs a lot of power. Yeah. Yeah. So a couple of things. I think the reason that a lot of cryptos are going down is because crypto exchanges are going belly up and a lot of people are worried. Also, as I mentioned earlier, when interest rates rise, which is what's happening now globally, speculative assets go down a lot. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like growth stocks underperform value. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, where is your mining computer? Are you going to use it any day? I stopped. So I mined Ethereum, but they moved from a proof of work to proof of stake way of mining. So I don't use it anymore. Plus, electricity is too expensive here where I live now. Yeah. And then you wrote, thank you for everything. I think Messi should win the World Cup because it's his last one. But are you a Ronaldo fan or a Messi fan? See you next week and forever. Thank you. I'm not a huge football fan. But I will watch it this year because Canada's in the World Cup and we always win, right? Yeah. All right. Thank God I have this backup chat here, man. All right. Next up, Dane. Hey, Dane wrote, it appears we have a thaw in the chilly relations between the United States and China. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, Biden went to Indonesia, met with China. Thank God. And then you wrote, any insight on how this came about and what are likely ramifications? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that the big commonality that Biden and Germany and China have in common is they don't want Russia to be using nuclear weapons, right? And that's kind of helping China and the United States and Germany to bond a little bit more so, which is a great thing. Open dialogue's a good thing, always. Yeah. We need it. Yeah. Next up, Bryle wrote, I'm interested in your MBA degree. Can I add the word MBA after my name when I finish? Will I receive a transcript in addition to the diploma? I don't issue transcripts. It's pass or fail. It's pretty easy. There's 100 quizzes. Just get over 50% on half of them. And you can get the degree. You can put the word MBA if you want to after it, but I don't advertise anywhere that it's accredited. It's not accredited. It will never be accredited. I think that universities are in secular decline. I think that my children are the last generation of kids that feel like they have to go to university or think about it at least. Yeah, and enrollments are down since pre-COVID. And I really believe it's game over for universities in the long run. Everybody's going to be doing online in the long run. Yeah. Okay. And then you wrote, is it relevant to get a PhD? Also, some PhDs require MBAs here in the Philippines, I think you wrote there. Yeah. So if to get accepted to a PhD program, you need an accredited master's, then my program is not for you. Yeah. But you will learn a lot, I promise you, and there's a money back guarantee. Okay, great. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open up Zoom in case anybody wants to join Zoom and ask questions that way as well. So give me 1 second. And the way to join me on Zoom is you go to harounmba.com/Zoom. Okay, harounmba.com/Zoom. And that way you can join me on Zoom. I'm going to open it up right now. If you join me on Zoom, make sure to mute your YouTube video, please. So I will launch this. Okay. There we go. And if anybody wants to join me, by all means, please join me. Okay. Let me go back to questions. All right. Okay. All right. Next up, a question from Mahesh. And if I missed anybody's questions, just please paste them again. Mahesh wrote, Elon Musk told employees they must agree to Twitter's new extremely hardcore culture by 5 p.m. today or resign. Yeah, he wants everybody to be back in the office. Yeah, it's unfortunate the way he's let people go. Yeah, he could have been done in a more classy way, to be honest. Yeah. And then Mahesh wrote, how does Elon treat his employees? Question mark. Yeah. So I've had friends that have worked for him. He's very, very demanding. Kind of like Steve Jobs, very demanding. Yeah. Not to say he's not a good person. It's just a lot of times people that are very successful are very demanding. I had a lot of friends that worked for President Obama. I didn't vote for Obama, but I love him. I think he's cool. And my friends that worked for him said that he was always the smartest person in the room, always, unlike most politicians. But he was also incredibly demanding, very demanding, but fair. Yeah. And most of these successful politicians or entrepreneurs are like that as well. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then you wrote here, unemotional is good for Elon's companies, not for families or kids. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I don't ever recommend working for anybody that doesn't have kids. Like if you have kids, try to work for somebody if you have if you have the choice. Try to work for somebody that has children. Yeah, yeah, and is family focused as well. Yeah, unlike Elon. Yeah, and it bothers me how society tends to worship people with a lot of money. I tend to respect people that are successful, but also are good to God and their families as well. Yeah. Elon, of course, has had lots of kids with lots of different people. Yeah. Okay. Renvir, thank you for your comment on my Wall Street video too. You wrote here, if option prices decay over time, how can we make money with it? Yeah. So the way it works is with options, and this is part of the MBA curriculum in FA4, Finance and Accounting Semester 4, Class 4, as you know. But with options, there's 5 or 6 different inputs that help you price an option. The most important one is time. So when you buy an option, so let's say that you own Coca-Cola shares, ticker KO, and you don't want to sell Coca-Cola because you're going to pay a lot of taxes, whatever. You just want to own the stock for a long time. So what you can do if you think that Coke might go down in the next 3 months is you can buy an insurance contract, which is a put, right? It's an option instrument, right? It's like a protective coat. And then what happens is if Coke goes down a lot, this goes up in price. So it's a wash. You don't lose money. However, options expire in a short amount of time. So if you buy a 3-month put, the value, if Coca-Cola shares don't go down, this won't go up. And the closer you get to expiration, the more this goes down in price, and it can expire worthless if Coca-Cola stock goes up. Yeah, so you have to look at time decay, or as they call it, theta decay, which is a Greek variable or formula within options closely. Yeah, and also monitor volatility. That has more of an impact, I think, than time. All right, and then you're most welcome, Briley, and I'd love to have you sign up for the MBA program if you're interested. Okay, and give me 1 second to see if we have anybody on chat. We do. Okay, so I recommend if you guys want, you can keep asking questions right here in YouTube, or what you can do is you can join me on Zoom right now. I'm going to go to Zoom right now for the rest of this call, and give me 1 second. Here we go. Oh, cool. We got Rita. Who's from Australia in Melbourne, that'll be joining. Okay. All right, Rita, how are you? Oh, you got to unmute yourself. I'm so sorry. My system mutes everybody initially.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
Great to you. How are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you. Now that I've got you live, can I ask you?
Good to see you too.
Good to see you. Can I ask you a couple of questions? So, you're very successful. You've had an incredible career. What are 3 pieces of advice you would have given yourself when you were younger, when you were starting your business decades ago? Hey, Rita, can you hear me? Oh, it looks like we have an audio problem with Rita here.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
How are you? I'm so sorry. Can I ask you a couple questions so you can teach my students? Okay. So you're very successful in your business. You started your finance company several decades ago. If Rita, if you could go back in time and give yourself 3 pieces of advice, what advice would that be?
First of all, you ought to believe your heart, and you have to try so hard, and you should seek to discover what you are searching for, because Jesus said, if you are better than thee, become the servant. Everybody helps you in the world, okay? Everybody helps you in the world. You need to get that person who is really not frightened of asking questions, never to give up, and point his finger to the moon. Challenges. When I started my business, I started in the recession, 1990. It was very, very hard. I was in $140,000 salary. As a very high executive, and I had to give all that up. I lost my friend, even a girlfriend I had at the time, because they believed I was crazy.
Right.
No, I believed in myself. I can do something.
Right.
In the finance industry, it's called the blue collar elite, okay, which is like Wall Street and what have you, okay. You only can get those jobs if you really know somebody who put you there, want to introduce you to that. It's very hard to penetrate. When I first started the finance industry, they called me the fry pan man, because I come from the hospitality industry. But 23 years later, the fry pan is still on the burner, and I'm still dealing. Believe in yourself. Never give up.
Yeah.
Be honest to yourself and be honest to others.
I love it. Thank you for that. And you mentioned never give up. And since my kids were born, I've said 2 things to them and they complete the sentence. The first thing is I say you never, and immediately they say give up. And then I also say this, you always finish, and they immediately say what you started. Yeah. So never give up. And all the best entrepreneurs, basically they understand you only have to be right in business one time. And they see failure as just a stepping stone to greatness. And everybody,
Sorry, Chris, interruption.
Sure.
Lots of people in business believe you succeed, you become an entrepreneur, you become a big businessman, whatever, simply because you have to have money to do it. You don't need money. You need an idea. I started my business with $45. Okay, just $45. How I started is, I was trying, when I was doing my business plan, I did a survey between 975 establishments. After 3 months, I got the reply back, okay? And only 33 out of this reply, 3 of them, they said they utilized a consultant. So I've been making notes every day. I've done this like a religion. Every day, going in, waking up, walking in miles and miles and miles. I've done that for 3 months. In the end, I found 3 of them, they utilized a consultant because I wanted to be a consultant. I said, I can't survive on 3 people. I can't. I got to do something more. So I had to put my thinking cap on. Like the Chinese philosophy, what they said, charms, opportunity and charm are in the air. You have to be able to grab it, okay? So therefore, opportunity also is the same in business. Think what you have achieved. Write down what you're doing all the time. Read it. Even when you sit on the toilet, you're going to do your business, you got nothing to read your notes, what you have written about your past, okay? Because you're working for your business. You want to improve your business. Don't become a boss to your business. Become a good worker for your business, okay? So therefore, when I was revisiting all my notes, I discovered all of them needed finance. They want to renovate their restaurants, their establishment, their hotel. They want to buy furniture. They want to buy cars. They want to do lots of everything has to do of want, but just of money.
Right.
So what I did, I put an ad in the paper, in the biggest newspaper at the time, the Edge, called the Edge, of David's time, and I said, finance wanted for my client. That cost me $45. So what I had every financiers in Melbourne ringing me. They wanted to say, okay, we look after your client. So I become in between, referring them, they understand, to the financiers. After that, I got my license. After that, I become a broker. After that, I become a mortgage manager. And now here I am. I've done very well. You understand? I'm a private lender. And also I was I was a distributor for ABN AMRO in Australia from 2004 to 2010, which is mean that Dutch Bank. Okay, I was a full distributor in Victoria for it. So therefore, you don't need education because the streets are education. You meet people, you do everything. And remember one thing: when you're dealing with people, especially people in business, they are not stupid people; they're smart people. So be careful when you ask them questions. Always address yourself properly. Don't go in and say, "Oh, I can wear a t-shirt, I don't want a tie." Well, stiff shit. If you're going to see a businessman, you're going to make him look like you are a businessman too.
Yeah. That's great advice. And I always tell my students, if you're not sure what to wear to an interview or an informational meeting, do two things. Number one, go to the website of the company you're meeting with to see what they wear there in the About section. Number two, go to their LinkedIn profile to see what they're wearing. Now, Rita, you built a massive company. You have lots of employees. You've done very well. I'd love to ask you, what do you look for when you want to hire somebody?
The first 60 seconds when you meet somebody, that's the important cool part. They look, number one, for attitude. They look for confidence. And the third thing is they look at the goodwill of behaviors, okay? And the clear of mind of a person. Means the clear of mind of a person who is really confident in what he's saying and what he's answering back. Okay? They also look for a team leader, so who can become a team leader. They look for a person who can be a team player. It's looking for a person who really will take the answer no. If somebody, the boss tells him no, he has to accept it. Okay? A person who's willing to learn. That's what they look for.
Cool. Awesome. And confidence is key because confidence leads to perceived competence. And it's so interesting how people tend to judge you in the first 30 seconds of a meeting. And you can never get that second chance to make that first impression. Now, what I always recommend for my students is when you interview with a company or you have an informational meeting, please don't jump into business right away. Just get to know them first. You want to bond before business. And if you don't know what to say in the first couple of minutes in terms of idle chit chat or getting to know somebody, you can do a couple things. Number one, you can go to the Twitter profile of the person you're about to meet with and see who they follow. You know, if they follow athletes, you'll know what to talk about. If they follow entertainers, you can talk about that. Also, another thing you can do, which is pretty obvious, is read the paper that morning as well. So you can, talk about world events. What I do every day in the shower before I get ready is I do this. Alexa, what's the Wall Street Journal news?
From the Wall Street Journal.
If you're listening to this podcast,
Alexa, stop. Yeah. So it's about 15 minutes when I'm getting ready and I listen to all the news. Right? And you can just talk about that sort of thing. Also, last thing I'll say on that topic is you can set up what are called Google Alerts. Go to alerts.google.com, enter in the name of the company you're meeting with, and you'll get immediate alerts whenever those companies have news releases, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Now,
I'd like to add one more thing to that, Chris.
Sure, please.
All of us will be through this, okay? All of us, each individual of us, okay? Because we all had mothers. And one thing about mother, think of your mother as the person who's going to employ you. If you bring a friend home, your mom meet them the first time, mother have a sense to pick up with their eyes somehow the attitude about the other person. Either they would like that person or they don't. Same thing when you bring a girl back to your home to meet your mom will pick her up. She'll smell her like a dog. She'll know she's a good person or not, okay? So the bosses are trained to watch, okay? Like they are like border security who look and they're smelling for something that's going to upset their company. Okay?
Yeah.
They don't look for a person to be a genius. They look for a person who can adopt with everyone else.
It's interesting you say that. My mom, she's amazing. When I was a kid, I'd bring a friend home, and my mom would tell me after the person left, she'd say, "Oh, honey, he does drugs. I don't want you hanging out with him." And I would say, "Mom, that's not true," but she's totally right. She was completely right. And now as a parent, I run into the same issues now. But first impression is key. Okay. If anybody else wants to join Zoom, please do so. Just go to harounmba.com/Zoom. Let me go to a couple of comments here.
Chris, thank you so much for asking those questions.
Of course. It's such an honor you're a gentleman. It's such an honor to have you here, man. Thank you. All right. Next up, I've got Radu wrote amazing advice, Rita. I agree. Sanyam wrote, "I'm waiting for your programming course, Chris." No, thanks for that. So the programming course is coming out in my MBA program. If anybody has bought my MBA program already or will, it'll automatically be added. It's a one-time fee. You pay for the MBA. You get all this stuff for free forever. And I'm going to be teaching programming in a much more visual way. I was a programmer and I worked at Accenture back in the 90s. And I'm still a bithead now. I love to code on the side in my spare time. And I'm going to make it visual and fun to learn as well, object-oriented. And if you meet me in real life, Rita, I'm a very, very small man. I'm a tiny human being. Sorry.
Well, discover there is a man in the world who's got bigger nose than you.
No, it's
7.5 inches long nose.
Dude, it's not possible. Look at, you see the shadow?
It is
you
possible.
See the shadow?
I got it.
The shadow on the back wall? It's all this. It's massive. It's massive. Yeah.
This gentleman was in the 1700.
Yeah.
1700, and he used to work for the circus.
Yeah.
It's 7.5 inches, which is 19.5 centimeter long nose.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's my great grandfather. He's a good guy. Yeah. Yeah. All right. But dude, when I wear my mask, and I still do it when I go to the gym, I get a lot more people checking me out, like I mentioned before. See? Because I might be good looking, maybe, but once I take it off, they're like, "Oh my God, brutal." Yeah. By the way, quick tip. For anybody who has glasses like Rita, and when I wear my sunglasses, when I wear this, it always fogs up my glasses. Here's the trick. You turn this around like this. Okay, so you twist it on this side and this side here, and then you put it on, and then it actually pulls it down a bit so that you don't fog up your glasses. I'm not wearing it correctly. You guys get the idea. Okay. All right. Next up, Eric wrote, "Thanks for all the clarifications. Chris, you're most welcome." And then we got Eduardo. Eduardo, great to see you. So Eduardo was in my Gold MBA program. He got a full 100% money back guarantee. I think it was 2 weeks ago. He started September 30th. It's great to see you. I love your questions. Thank you. So Eduardo wrote, Chris, and he's based in Texas. What are your thoughts on the crypto market? Are all crypto exchanges over now that FTX went down, stealing millions from cryptos? It seems everyone is moving away from the exchanges. Yeah, so my thought process here is don't leave any money on the exchanges, please. I don't care what the exchange is. None of these exchanges are immune. I want you to take all your money out of your hot wallet and put it into a cold storage wallet, meaning a USB token wallet, made by a company called Ledger Nano or Trezor, Trezor. Don't leave money online. I don't think the market is going to go completely belly up for cryptos, but I think that regulation is coming. Yeah. And I will be buying Bitcoin if the sell-off continues. Yeah. But it has to go down below 10,000 for me to buy more. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Eric wrote, Chris, please, what do you think of investing in the metaverse? Yeah. I think the metaverse is going to be relevant in the long run. But the problem is that all these devices, these Oculus devices, etc., they're kind of like a novelty. You buy it, you're excited for one day, and then you kind of put it in the drawer, don't use it again. And the reason is because you get very dizzy using these things. Now, Facebook signed a massive contract with the Department of Defense, $22 billion contract for these things. And 80% of people in the Department of Defense that use them complained. They complained that they got really, really dizzy. And let me go back to full screen, Chris, here. They got really, really dizzy, right? And so this is a failed product. It's too expensive. People get dizzy, and there's no killer app for it, right? So Facebook is rebranding themselves as Meta. They bet the company on this product that's not selling. And the new version of this product, Gen 3, it's $1,500. It's not selling that well at all. They only have about 15 million of these things in total sold globally, which is nothing when you're trying to create the third iteration of the internet. I think if any company's going to figure this out, it's going to be Apple. Now, Apple has got a version of an AR/VR product coming out early next year, according to people familiar with the matter. So Apple AR patents. And all this is publicly disclosed. If you want to know what a company is doing, you can go to uspto.gov. That's the United States Patent and Trademark Office, right? So here's the patent that Apple has. Apparently, it's coming out early next year. These are all Apple patents right here. And I think if anybody's going to nail this industry in the long run, it'll be Apple. The first iteration of their product might be as, I don't know, as basic as Gen 1 of the iPod. But I think eventually they'll nail it. It's going to take time. Yeah. But I think that what's going to happen is instead of VR being a big deal, I think AR is going to be bigger initially. And the way it's going to work, in my humble opinion, is it would be great to have a second screen I could look at. So imagine using AR goggles that look like Ray-Ban glasses or any glasses. And glasses will eventually be massive Web 3.0 investments in the long run. Imagine wearing glasses and being able to look every now and then in the corner at a second monitor. I wouldn't stare at it the whole time because I get dizzy, but it's just a second monitor. And when I'm riding my e-bike, which is my new hobby, I would love to have a pair of glasses where I could look up in the corner and see the camera of the cars behind me, for example, another screen. Yeah. So it's a failed experiment, Web 3.0. Yeah. It's too early. I think it will matter in the long run, though. In the long run. And I know why Facebook is doing it. You know, Facebook knows that you want to own the road, meaning the platform, and that's how you make money. The best investments are platform solutions. LinkedIn's a platform, YouTube's a platform, etc. Facebook wants to be the Web 3.0 platform. And another reason why Facebook renamed themselves Meta is, well, for PR reasons, right? So Facebook's kind of a bad name in election circles. And also, the United States government is going to break up Facebook. It's only a matter of time. Facebook's too powerful. And so they rebranded themselves as Meta. And Facebook will be one company, WhatsApp another company, and their other products another company, Instagram, whatever it might be. And the problem with Facebook is they're so powerful to the extent that Meta, the parent company, 40% of people on this planet use at least one Facebook app every month. They're way too dominant. Way too dominant. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Next up, Waleed wrote, hi, Chris. Hey, Waleed. Great to see you. How often do hedge funds evaluate their performance to calculate their performance fee? Yeah, it's a monthly basis. So the way that hedge funds work, it's similar to private equity firms, is they charge 2 in 20 or 1 in 20. What that means is this. They get 1% of the assets every year, okay, as a fee. So if they have $100 million in assets, they get $1 million in fees. And then they get 20% of the upside. So if that $100 million doubles to $200 million, they get 20% of the profits on the $100 million. So $20 million bucks. And so they charge 1% per year, and the 1% is calculated on a monthly basis. Now, I started a hedge fund many years ago, and what you can do is you can charge your investors other things on a monthly basis as well. For example, legal fees. I spent $30,000 setting up my onshore and offshore bank for my hedge fund, and I was able to charge that to clients, and you can do it every month for 5 years, meaning 60 months. Yeah. Okay. All right. It's quarterly though when they take it. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Radu wrote, Chris, search for Thomas Wedhouse, also Thomas Wetters, to see what Rita is talking about related to the nose. Okay. I'll do that right now. Thanks. And if anybody has additional questions, please type them. If you want to join Zoom, please do so, and I'll accept you guys in right here. And while I'm searching, you piqued my interest. I got to quickly search for my family's nose. Thomas Wetters. There it is there. Oh, I miss you, great grandpa. There we go. I'm like Pinocchio, but I tell the truth always. All right. Great. Let me go back over here to Zoom. If you guys have questions, please type in the YouTube chat, or you can come on to Zoom and come here as well. I'm having issues accepting people. I don't know why. Joined, but I can't see everybody. All right. Strange. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. Sorry about the issues, guys. I'm going to restart Zoom, and then you guys can rejoin. So I'm going to go here, end Zoom. And you guys can rejoin. I think I had a plugin that kind of screwed things up. All right, refresh here, and I will go here to Zoom. Thanks, guys, for your patience. I'm a one-man show, man. Okay, launch meeting. I will launch this, and if you guys want, you can join a Zoom again here. I had some sort of technical issue. While I'm waiting for you guys to join Zoom, go to harounmba.com/Zoom to join. I'll take more questions here. Okay. Renvir wrote, Chris, what are your thoughts on decentralized exchanges such as Uniswap? I have not heard of that before. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about that company. Okay. Next up, Radu wrote, on the S&P, what do points mean? The Wall Street Journal said it dropped by 12 points. How's that translate into percent or dollars? And why do they say points? Yeah. So if you bought a stock that was $50 and it went down $5, that's 5 points. And that would be 10% in that case. So with the S&P 500, if we go here to Yahoo Finance and we just type in VU, which is the S&P 500 ETF, you can even type in SPY if you wanted to. It would just be 5 points on this, for example. Now the S&P right now is at 3,938. So if it went down 5 points from here, it'd be 3,933. Yeah. Now, in terms of the VU, though, and I recommend that if you guys want to invest and you're not sure where to put your money, put it here in the VU. This here is a representation of the 500 stocks that make up the U.S. markets. The fees are very, very low as well. The expense ratio is tiny. Wow, it even went down. Interesting. Okay, and that means for every $100 you invest in the S&P each year, you'll pay only a penny in fees. It used to be 0.03 a couple days ago. Interesting. And then you can go here to see what the holdings are. You can see the 12 GICS components or sectors of the S&P right here. Of course, it's very, very tech heavy here as well. And here's the largest components. Yeah. All right. And let me see if there's anybody on Zoom. I got a couple people waiting to get in. I'll admit them. Hopefully it works now. Okay. Yeah. I'm having technical issues with Zoom, guys, and I'll show you the issue here. So if you want, just enter your questions directly. I don't know why it's not showing everybody here. Yeah. All right. You can enter your questions directly in, oh, there we go. Good. In YouTube chat, or you can ask questions here. And then Eric wrote, thanks a lot, Chris. You're most welcome. Okay, so I've got Hanu here, and I've also got Nintendo who's joining. Okay, great. Hanu, how are you? And you have to unmute yourself first. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm in a cafe, so it might be loud in the background. That's why I didn't activate my microphone, but I'm doing well. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you for having me.
And where are you based?
Los Angeles area in Whittier, California.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Great. Yeah, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy and humbled to help you out in any way I can. Yeah.
So I apologize. I joined a little later today, just kid stuff in the morning. But I wanted to know if you had touched on what is your opinion on this big rate collapse that I hear so many economists warn about, that it's going to be of biblical proportions and it's going to take a long time for us to get out of it.
You mean like an economic pullback?
They're talking about collapse. A lot of the articles, and I don't know if it's fear mongering or trying to get people to invest in certain ideas, but they're telling to
Sure. I would So a couple of things. Number one, please don't let economists ever scare you. There's a very famous quote that I'm going to butcher, which is, economists have successfully predicted 12 of the past 87 recessions, or vice versa. Yeah. They're not great investors. Don't let that worry you. Yeah. Things are never as bad as they seem. I mean, think about it. We had a massive health crisis that's getting better. It's still pretty dire in some countries. And we're in the midst of the Cold War. How much worse can things get? Yeah. So I'm much more optimistic. If the market sells off, and there's massive panic in the streets, and we've not seen this since March of 2020. But if and when that were to happen, then what I want you to do is I want you to monitor the VIX. Okay, so when the VIX spikes, and the VIX is a volatility index, and I'll show you in a second on Yahoo Finance, but when the VIX spikes to 70 or 80, and it will again, I want you to buy stocks no matter what. Even if you think that the world is ending, things are never as bad as they seem. And let me show you exactly what that means. Now, you can always buy stocks that when you've done the research on them and you love the fundamentals, valuation, etc. Okay, but when it comes to if they sell off, when it comes to the VIX, and I'm going to show you this chart, and every chart tells a story too. So the VIX is the volatility index. It was created by the Chicago Board of Exchange back in 1990. And whenever you see the VIX spike to above 70 or 80, it's tough for me to show you here. Let me go here to max. Here we go. Good. Yeah. So it started in 1990. And what the VIX measures, right? And I put my reputation on the line with what I'm about to say. Okay. Because I promise you will make a fortune if you do what I say right here. All right. No pressure, Chris. But the VIX was founded in 1990 by the Chicago Board of Exchange. And basically it measures what investors think the volatility is going to be of the S&P 500 in the next month. And if it's high volatility, it means there's a lot of fear in the market. And you want to be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. So we can see here that the VIX has been pretty low for a long time. It spiked right here with Gulf War I in December of, I think it was 1991. It spiked right here again in the Asian financial crisis, but only got up to a level of about 40, which you can see on the right-hand axis. It spiked right here around 9/11 for obvious reasons. There wasn't maximum fear. Okay. It then spiked right here before the U.S. Invaded Iraq. And once the statue of Saddam fell, the market did well. So when the VIX is low, the market is usually doing okay. Then what happened was in the fall of 2008, when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working, the VIX got up to high 70s, right? And that was the generational low, the time to buy stocks. Now, it also, you can't see this here intraday, but in March of 2020, the VIX spiked to over 80, an all-time high. And that was the telltale sign for everybody to buy stocks. And you have to be unemotional. And people were really irrational at that point in time because I remember the price of oil went negative. It actually went negative. And the reason it went negative temporarily, the futures for oil, is because it costs you $600,000 a day to have an oil tanker floating on the Baltic Sea, for example. So as you can see, there's not that much fear in the market right now. I know that we're kind of in a bear market in many countries and the market's pulled back. But if you ever see the VIX spike to above 70 or 80, I promise you, and I put my reputation on the line here and my wallet on the line too, you have to buy stocks then. And when it happens, I promise you, you're going to tell yourself, oh my God, Chris is crazy and I'm crazy if I buy stocks now. But that is exactly when you have to do it, because you need to be greedy when others are fearful and vice versa. And what Elon Musk did right here, okay, right here in March of 2020, because he's unemotional, and if you want to be a successful investor, you got to be unemotional. What he did was he backed up the truck and bought a ton of shares in Tesla. It's all publicly disclosed. And then he actually sold a lot of those shares in late 2021 when the market was actually at its high. Okay, so we don't have enough fear right now. But if what you're saying, Hanu, comes to fruition in terms of a doomsday scenario, if that happens, I don't think it will, but if it does, the VIX will spike to above 70 or 80. And it's at that point in time, you have to buy stocks no matter what anybody tells you. I promise you, that is the best time to buy stocks. And yes, it will feel scary, but that's the only way you can make money, is to be a contrarian. Yeah. Is that helpful?
That's very helpful. Thank you so much for that. I've been holding my try to keep my money available for something like that. And so probably what I should do is just be patient and wait for an event like that. Or I would continue investing.
No, I would continue investing. So you can always roll up your sleeves and do research on companies that are oversold, that have good fundamentals and solid valuation as well. And what I love to do is I love to buy broken stocks, but not broken companies. And what that means is this. If I've done the research on the company, I love the fundamentals and the valuation, but the stock looks like death, feels like you're catching a falling knife, and it's oversold, meaning an RSI of 20, then I'll start buying. I also believe in dollar cost averaging if you don't know where to put your money and if you don't have time to do research on stocks. And my favorite go-to place, after you've bought the I bonds, you can go to treasurydirect.gov. But after that, the best go-to place to buy is you buy ticker VOO, VOO. Now, VOO has the lowest fees of any ETF out there, and it represents the 500 stocks in the United States market. Now, the historical average return of the S&P 500 is 10.5%. And I promise you, I put my life on the line, the S&P 500 will be much higher in 20 years than it is today, to state the obvious. Now, if the market is up, the S&P 500 ticker VOO, 10.5% on average historically, and obviously it won't be up this year. But if it's up 10.5% historically, and if all you did, Hanu, was you took your $22,000, 500 or whatever it is, 401k maximum starting next year, and you put that into the VOO, right, your entire 401k. If you did that every year for 20 years, you would have over $1 million. If your spouse did it, you'd have over $2 million. If you put your kids' retirement savings account or ESA 529, which is about $15,000, in it as well for 20 years for a couple of your kids, you have 3, 4, 5 million, depending on how many kids you have. Plus, you get the appreciation in your house as well. And I know times are tough. We can't all put in $22,500 into the VOO every single year. But I promise you, it's a solid long-term investment. Yeah. And it's diversified as well. And for people overseas, yeah, you will have FX issues as well if the dollar goes up or down relative to your currency. But in the long run, I think it's a sound investment, and it's well diversified as well. Yeah. Out of sight is out of mind. And as Warren Buffett said, you want to spend what is left after saving instead of saving what is left after spending. And so what I recommend people do is I recommend you have money taken out of your account every month or every 2 weeks or even out of your paycheck, if you can do it. I know times are tough. And put directly into your favorite stocks, ETFs, etc. If you don't know where to put it, I always recommend go right to the VOO. Yeah. Cool. And if you have follow-ups, please let me know, and thank you.
So, in going through the investments, your long list of things that you evaluate in getting stocks, super helpful. Thank you so much. I've learned so much. I guess my issue is that there are thousands of companies. So, like, where do you start? There's so many, to get that one gem that might work out.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of research just for one. So how do I narrow, and what sector would you recommend?
Yeah. So I have a 100-step template that you can use. It's in my MBA degree program. For those of you that are in my MBA program, it's EMS 4-3, Economics Management and Strategy, Semester 4, class number 3. And basically, we analyze 100 things based on the fundamentals of the company, valuation of the company, and technicals of a company. And what comes out of that is either a 1-page report, it's all Excel-based, or a 150-page report. And so I recommend that you do bottoms-up analysis on your favorite stocks, forecast your financial model, and figure out what earnings are going to be in 5 or 10 years, and base your price earnings target price on that earnings estimate, which I teach in my MBA program in a lot of detail. Now, it's very difficult for me to tell you exactly what to buy, but I provide my students with all the tools so they can do it themselves. Instead of providing people with a fish they eat for a day, I provide you a tool so you can fish and eat for a lifetime. But if you're not sure where to start, I would think to yourself, whenever you see a new product that's kind of cool, ask yourself this. In 5 years, are people going to use this product more often or less often than today? And that might help you understand that there's good secular growth prospects for this company, so to speak. So I don't know, when Google was first, getting a lot of market share in the early 2000s, you could have asked yourself, in 5 years, are people going to be using Yahoo or Google more often? Or in 2008, you could tell yourself, after the iPhone and Android device came out, in 5 years, are people being using BlackBerries more often or less often than today? And that will kind of help you see long-term trends. There's so many other things you have to look at as well, though, like the management team, financial analysis, et cetera, which I teach in a lot of detail in my MBA degree program. Yeah. And I don't recommend buying any stocks without writing an investment report first, at least a 1-pager. And I teach you how to do that as well in my MBA degree program. Kind of like how in my MBA program, in the 3rd semester in the entrepreneurship track, I have a venture capital boot camp. And I don't recommend, and in that venture capital boot camp, I teach you how to write a business plan And I don't want anybody to start a company without writing a business plan first, because failing to plan is planning to fail. And all these templates I provide you with, I ask you hundreds and sometimes thousands of questions that you'll document with me live during class. And the output is supposed to be a report for you to decide, should you go or no go starting a company or investing in another company. And the way you know you have a great business model, or the way you know you have a great investment idea, is if you actually finish the reports. Because a lot of the times what will happen is you'll start writing them and you'll realize, hey, this is not a good idea based on my due diligence. Another really good thing about writing a business plan and also doing investment write-ups, and again, I provide you with all the tools in my MBA program. Another good thing about doing that is, let's say you write a one-page investment report on a company, okay, where you analyze the fundamentals, technicals, and valuation. You love the idea. You buy the stock today. 6 months from now, the stock is getting murdered. It's down a lot. And Warren Buffett said the New York Stock Exchange is the only store where people sell stuff when it goes on sale. But 6 months from now, the stock is down a lot. And you're freaking out and you want to sell it because it's cheaper, which is illogical. What you'll do is you'll get that one pager you wrote, okay, that you wrote 6 months ago. And you got to say to yourself this. You go back in time, you read that report and tell yourself, okay, the stock is down a lot today because of news release X. If I had known about news release X that's causing the stock to go down today, if I had known about news release X when I had initially written this one-page report, would I still have bought the stock? If the answer is yes, then buy more, as long as it's not more than 5% of your liquid portfolio from a risk management perspective. If the answer is no, then sell it. Be unemotional, move on. Yeah. And so writing these research reports and having a process in place keeps us highly unemotional as well. And it stops us from doing stupid things like buying a stock without doing much research. And if people aren't sure what to do research-wise and you have extra cash, just put it in the VU or the ETF of whatever index that people live in, countries live in. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Makes very much sense. Thank you very much.
Awesome. My pleasure. My pleasure. And thank you. Okay, cool. All right, let's go next to Radu in Romania. Radu, you have the floor, sir. How are you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm good. A bit tired, but good.
Excellent. Good to see you.
When you said, look, if the tech will be used 5 years from now, I can't wait for Yoodli to go public.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can see that used.
Isn't he great? Like he is so well spoken. Like I'm not an arrogant guy, but I'm a very good judge of character. And when I get excited when I see an entrepreneur or CEO present like that, I know it's going to be a great long-term investment. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's private. It's private now. And disclosure, I'm not an investor. I'm not sponsored by anybody, nor will I ever be on my YouTube channel. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask the question about VIX. If VIX will go up, will you recommend the same strategy to buy VU or another strategy?
Yeah, I would buy more risky stocks at that point. Yeah. Now, of course, if the VU is kind of like a placeholder. I don't know where to put my money, but I want to invest, right? For dollar cost average, I would buy more speculative companies like tech stocks that have been murdered. Yeah. Especially ones with higher beta. Meaning a beta way above 1. So if a stock has a beta of 2 relative to the S&P 500, it means it'll go up 200% more than the S&P 500. Yeah. And you can actually look at the Russell 2000 index, which is small and mid caps, and pick your favorite tech companies there. Yeah. Cool. All right. Next up, Vishnu wrote, hey, Chris, have you heard about the University of Canada West in Vancouver? I've heard of it. I don't know anything about it, though. I'm sorry. Yeah, my mom was born in Vancouver. Moving on to Walid, who wrote, can strategies like Bill Ackman's activist investing be implemented by smaller funds with smaller capital? Yeah. As long as you have enough capital on hand to buy a significant portion of the market cap of a company. Yeah. And so Bill Ackman, what he does, he has a ton of money, billions of dollars in assets under management. He'll take big stakes in companies he thinks are being mismanaged. And then when you buy a big stake in a company, you can join the board and you can tell the company what to do. You get much more influence. It's something that Carl Icahn does, and something Carl Icahn did with eBay. So what Carl Icahn did, he's an activist investor, smart guy, is he bought a massive stake in eBay. And this was years ago when PayPal was part of it. He bought a massive stake in the company, more than 30%, and he pushed the management team out, John Donahoe. John's a good guy. He was the CEO of eBay, big tall guy. I met him before. He used to work at Bain. He pushed him out, and he forced eBay to break into two companies, eBay and PayPal. And the value of both those companies was higher than when eBay was eBay PayPal. And the reason why he wanted to do that to unlock shareholder value is because investors were confused with eBay years ago. Because you're either a growth investor or a value investor. Growth investor doesn't really care about valuation, but wants to buy something growing. A value investor wants to buy something that's going to do well in a recession and is cheap. And so value investors loved eBay's auction business, the marketplace business, because people sell more stuff in a recession and it's good cash flow. The growth investors didn't like the eBay asset because it was slow growth, but they loved PayPal because it was toward growth. And so what happened was people didn't know what to classify eBay as. Is it a growth stock or a value stock? I don't know. So growth investors didn't buy eBay and value investors didn't buy eBay either. And so Carl Icahn forced the company to split into two separate companies. And growth investors loved PayPal, which went up a lot, and value investors loved eBay, which went up a lot. Yeah. Okay. Oh my God, Marcus Altiparmakian, how are you, man? It's great to see you. Marcus was 2 years older than me at Appleby when I went to high school. I was friends with his son. Oh my God, and I used to hang out with you through Josh Hobbins. Josh is in England. It's great to see you, man. So good to see you. Yeah. And you were actually the first person that contacted me on 9/11. I was in New York City, and you did this over MSN Instant Messenger. And you said, "Hey, Chris, are you okay?" Thank you for that. I appreciate that. That was the last time I communicated with you, I think. Yeah, it's great to see you, man. And God bless you. I hope you're doing well. Yeah. And I remember you dated the most gorgeous woman in high school. Her name was Jacqueline. Remember her? Yeah, Jacqueline Hudson, I think. Yeah. Great to see you, man. And say hi to your brother for me, too, please. Lots of love. Okay, next up, Christoph wrote, which company were you and Radu speaking of that's going public eventually? I didn't hear it. Thanks, Chris. Yeah. So we're referring to Yoodli. If you rewind today's webcast, I interviewed the CEO, Varun Puri of Yoodli. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Eduardo wrote, "Hey, Chris, thank you for answering my previous question. You're most welcome. It's always good to see you." You wrote, with this non-stopping inflation, would you recommend employees to ask for a 15% raise in 2023? What would be the best approach to ask? Yeah, it's tough, man. It's hard. It's hard to ask for a raise when a lot of companies are letting people go. I think the best way to do it is to look for a promotion. Here's how you do it. You meet with your boss, and after your boss congratulates you on a job well done on something, gives you a high five, you say, "Do you have time for coffee?" And you sit down with your boss. And then you start with this, if true. You know, I really enjoy being part of this company. You know, our team has accomplished so much together. As you know, and I know you're based in Texas, I'll assume you live in Austin. As you know, living in Austin is very expensive, and I have a family, and I want to be able to provide the best standard of living I can for my family. And so, I'd love to ask you, please, what do I need to accomplish or contribute to our team to be considered for a promotion? What benchmarks are you looking for? And your boss will tell you everything you need to do to get a promotion. Then what you do is 6 months down the road, after your boss congratulates you again, and if you've met certain milestones, meaning those benchmarks, you ask for another coffee meeting. And you basically start off the same way. You know, our team has accomplished a lot. As I mentioned to you earlier this year, you know, it's expensive to raise a family here in Austin. I want to provide the best standard of living I can for my kids. That being said, I'm very humbled to say that last time we met, you provide me with these benchmarks that I need to accomplish in order to get promoted. And so I'd love to ask you, please, if I can be promoted. Thank you. Yeah. And the reality is that behind closed doors, that's how you get promoted. A lot of people ask over and over and over again behind closed doors for a promotion. And you have to ask many times in order to get promoted. And everybody that's a vice president or senior vice president or even CEO, behind closed doors, they've done this. And they reminded their boss of their accomplishments. If you don't remind your boss or people of your accomplishments, they'll soon forget. And, if you feel bad that you're bragging, and you should, tastefully, then you can start with, I'm very humbled to say that, and then brag about what you accomplished. I have a student of mine who's in Atlanta, and he told me he used to live in the ghetto. And he told me, Chris, one thing I learned about living in the ghetto was closed mouths don't get fed. So you have to ask. And the problem is that most people don't ask. And, when you're younger and you're in school and you're doing well, you're getting good grades, keep your head down. Your parents are proud of you, your teachers are happy with you, whatever. And you think, hey, man, life works well if I keep my head down and work hard. I'll get recognized. Then you join a big corporation. And after you keep your head down, you work hard, and you look around a year or two later, and you're like, hey, man, why are they getting promoted faster than I am? I do the same work they do. Because they ask. Asking you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. Yeah. Okay. Now, I have a lot of contractors I work with in Canada who have all gotten 15 or 10% raises this year already because the US dollar has gone up a lot. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up, I've got Nintendo wrote, hi, 2 weeks ago, hey, I asked about short-term investing, and you recommended the RSI indicator, yeah. Do you have any other indications or important technical analysis methods to increase money-making potential? Yeah. Yeah, aside from the relative strength index, and the bottom line there is when you see the RSI of 20 on a company, as long as you love the fundamentals and valuation of the company and your long-term focus on the company, you're going to be a long-term shareholder, then you can start accumulating or adding to your position. And I love to buy broken stocks, but not broken companies. And a broken stock usually has an RSI of 20, and that's the time to start nibbling. Aside from that, other technical indicators you can look at are, and of course, it's the last thing you look at. You look at fundamentals first and valuation second. Another technical indicator you can look at is the moving average. Okay, so if there's a 50-day moving average, right, which is the average of the stock over the past 50 days, and if the stock keeps bouncing off the 50-day moving average, then when it's on the 50-day moving average, if you think it's going to bounce, and sometimes it's self-fulfilling, you can start accumulating there as well, as long as it doesn't break that moving average. You can also look at the 200-day moving average as well, and you can look at what's called the golden cross, which means when the 50-day moving average goes up through the 200-day moving average. So here's the 200-day moving average, and the 50-day moving average goes up like this. So once it connects here, it's called the golden cross. You can start accumulating there as well. But please, 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 I'm going to get down my knees. Hi. Please, I'm begging you, do the fundamental and valuation work first before you look at technical analysis. Other things you can look at include ascending triangles, and there's other voodoo stuff as well. But that's the last thing you should be looking at. Yeah. Okay. Next up, and if anybody has questions here on Zoom, just please raise your hand. You can either raise it like this, or there's a little reaction button you can push to raise your hand. Next up, Nintendo wrote, in 2 weeks' time, I'm attending a big economy meeting in Krakow. Very cool. I went to a wedding there once. And then you wrote, where there's going to be a lot of influential people from business and politics. What's your advice to summon up the courage to talk to them? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would just, don't be nervous. Obviously, bring a big stack of business cards. And you can do a little bit of research on them as well. Maybe go to their Twitter profile, see who they follow. So you can just talk about something they have in common. In terms of feeling nervous, please don't. Just tell yourself, if they're older than you, that they're an aunt, a great aunt or great uncle you're going to talk to. And I don't want you to give a damn what people think of you. No one's judging you. Everyone's got their own problems. They're judging themselves. And we are always our own worst enemies. And it's not work that kills us. It's worry. And I have to mention a great quote from Winston Churchill. He said, I once met a man on his deathbed who talked about all the worries he had in his life, none of which came true. Yeah. And if you want, you can go, I posted a 30-minute YouTube video called How I Beat My Fear of Public Speaking a couple weeks ago. You can watch that and that will help you. Last thing I'll say, and I am a spiritual person. I believe there's one God, a lot of great religions, but one God. Tell yourself God already knows what's going to happen, which should put you at ease. Hakuna Matata. Okay. All right, so I've got Nintendo raised his hand here. I don't know why I can't see you, but I'm going to go here, ask to start video. And I think I might be having Zoom issues. I don't know why, but I will be reinstalling Zoom after this call is done. I can't see everybody here. Sorry about that, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I have just my camera off. Sorry.
Oh, your camera's off. Okay.
Well, I don't have a camera, so yeah.
Okay.
And you answered my question from and the YouTube chat. So thank you.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. Perfect. Excellent. Okay. Great. I understand now. Okay. And if anybody else has questions on YouTube, or pardon me, on Zoom, please raise your hand. All right, I'm going to go down to Vishnu in YouTube Live, who wrote, I'm confident that I will get the offer letter from Stevens Institute of Technology for their Master's in Financial Analytics course. What do you think about the school? Is it worth paying $60,000 US dollars? Yeah, I don't know anything about the school, but what I would do is this. I would go onto LinkedIn and do a search on people that have graduated from that school to see if it's actually helped them get a promotion and whatnot. My general thoughts on spending a lot of money on graduate schools, I want you to try to network to get the job of your dreams first. And after you've set up 100 networking meetings, hear me out, if you don't get the job of your dreams or if you can't change jobs, then think about spending a fortune on graduate school, right? So the reason people go to, expensive business schools is because they want to change careers. But you don't need that if you set up a ton of informational meetings. Like in hindsight, I got a job at Goldman Sachs, but I went to business school to get it. But I didn't know about networking when I was younger, in my 20s. And I've had students, I have one student in particular who has an undergraduate degree, and he's halfway done my MBA program this year. And 2 months ago, he got a job offer from Goldman Sachs, making $175,000 base. He's in the same start class as Harvard Business School students because he networked aggressively, which is what I teach you in my MBA degree program. And if you don't feel you're getting 10x return on investment from the MBA program within the first 30 days, you get 100% of your money back. Yeah, but network a lot. Now, if you don't want to buy my MBA to learn about my networking on steroid skills, what you can do is you can just go to my website, which is harounmba.com. And there's a pop-up here just for Black Friday sale right here. But if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a networking book you can download for free. It's called Networking to Get Customers a Job or Anything You Want. I've had so many people download this. It's a couple hundred pages plus a couple hours of YouTube videos. It'll help you. Not as much as the MBA will, but it'll help you from a networking perspective. Your network is your net worth. Relationships are more important than product knowledge, always. Okay. All right. So if anybody has a question on Zoomy, please just lift your hand up and I'll come to you. And for those of you in my Silver MBA degree program, we do our weekly Silver MBA students only Zoom at 10 a.m. my time. And you can always go to the first lecture of the curriculum in the Silver MBA to get the link for our 10 a.m. 1 hour webcast. Reminder for everybody, though, in all my MBA programs and everybody here in the public webcast, there are no webcasts next week because I'm on Thanksgiving vacation. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Waleed wrote, can you please simplify CAPEX? Do activities like acquisitions account as CAPEX? So CAPEX is just capital expenditure, right? It basically means a company spending money or using credit cards or credit loans, whatever, to buy equipment, right? That's what CAPEX is, right? And then if you buy a lot of equipment, it's important to look at CAPEX because you can depreciate that as well. That's all it is. And so on the balance sheet, when you buy something, your assets cash goes down, but your assets goes up the same amount if you're paying cash for a piece of equipment, and then you're going to depreciate that asset. Okay, and the depreciation expense will come off your income statement, and then on the cash flow statement, it goes under cash flow from investing, CAPEX. Yeah. All right. Okay, and then Eduardo wrote, I gotta go, Chris. It was great being able to talk to you again. Great to see you, brother. Yeah. Okay, next up, Jason wrote here, my wife and I plan on buying a business that is currently running at a loss. We expect to turn it around and make it profitable, but we are nervous. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, I'm glad you asked this. So let's talk about Binance quickly. So Binance, the largest crypto exchange in the world, they tried to buy. I got to wrap up the call in a minute. Sorry. Binance tried to buy FTX, but they got lawyers involved, and they looked at the financial statements and realized that, oh my God, this company there's a lot more debt than we thought. So what I would do, please, Jason, is I want you to. Oh God. All right, hold on 1 second, guys. Somebody is saying something very racist. Hi, user on this channel. Okay, good. All right. I'm sorry, I just got distracted by that racist tyrant. How is this still happening in this day and age, I tell you? Okay. What I want you to do, though, before you and your wife, Jason, buy that company is I want you to hire a lawyer, okay, to look at the financial statements for you. And if you can't afford an expensive lawyer, you can always go to LegalZoom.com and get a lawyer that way. It'll cost you $30 for a half-hour call. Yeah, I would do that. I would also hire an accountant. Please do this, okay? Hire an accountant to review the financial statements of the company as well. And the last thing I want to say is I also want you to, in my MBA program, if you're a student, you can go to the third semester. You can start today. Go to HarounMBA.com. In the third semester, in the entrepreneurship E31, entrepreneurship semester 3, class 1, I have a venture capital boot camp where I help you write a business plan on any company. I want you to write a full business plan on that company before considering investing. Okay, and I see that there's a couple more questions here. I'm so sorry I won't be able to answer them this week. But if you're in my Silver MBA program, again, go to the first semester or the first class of the curriculum and join me in Zoom. And for those of you on Zoom right now, just if you're in my Silver MBA, just stick with me. I'm gonna go on mute here, and I'll come back just after 10 to talk to you guys. For those of you that watch my public webcast, please know that next week I'm actually going to be on vacation. So there's going to be no webcast next week. Same thing with anybody in my Gold and Platinum MBAs. There's no webcast next week. If you want, I love you more, Waleed. Thank you. And Jason, you're most welcome. If you guys want to learn more about my courses, MBA programs, you go to this website here. Or for the next couple of days, you can go to HarounMBA.com, and there's a pop-up where you can get 50% off Gold and Platinum MBA and 20% off Silver. That will expire soon. God bless you all. Happy Thanksgiving to those of you in the United States that celebrate Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend. And I'm going to end this webcast, as I always do, with a life-changing video that I licensed of. It's a Steve Jobs interview from the Silicon Valley Historical Association. Thank you. And thank you, Alex P. Good to see you. Take care, guys.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.